Hey, I'm Kevin Landucci, and welcome to Offertown, the practical, playful, unconventional place where engineers can learn how to get offers, get promotions, and get paid what we're worth. Today, our guest is Christina Ly, consultant, career coach, and recruiter. She dishes all the good stuff out on how recruiters think, her coaching process, and tips and tricks for interviews. So, hope you like it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored today to announce our guest. She's a master motivator. She's a career coach. She's a negotiation specialist. She's a technical recruiter, and she runs her own consultancy with private clients who are software engineers who want to level up their career. Just moved to the beachy part of San Francisco. Put your hands together for Christina Ly.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that introduction.
So if somebody wanted you to sum up who you are in a tweet, how would you say that? Who are you?
You know what, when you say that, what I want to do is have somebody write a biography about me and then run it through ChatGPT and say, create a tweet about Christina from all of these aspects, because it depends.
You've worked with a ton of software engineers. Roughly, how many do you think you've worked with?
As a coach, hundreds, and as a recruiter coach, thousands.
And what would you say is the reason you think why you like working with them?
Because they're smarter than me, Kevin.
That's a good answer. I thought it was because you were awkward.
Yeah, it's awkward. It's because I'm awkward and they're smarter than me.
No one can tell you're awkward. You just think you're awkward. That's awkward about your awkwardness, you know?
I like it. I'll work with that.
If people want to contact you, they can email you at hey@ChristinaLy.com. Mm-hmm. Lee is spelled the normal way.
L-Y. Don't get this wrong. L as in lemon, Y as in yellow.
Okay. And the kind of coaching that they can hit you up for would be, how would you say it?
Yeah, career coaching is my favorite. And then I work with early career engineers all the way up into staff level engineers. I've actually worked with directors as well. Yeah, any level, different types of engineers. You just got to know what you want and be open to listening. And
having a Christina helping you get it. I'm a candidate. It's a rough market. I need motivation. What do I do to get motivated? Do I just slap myself in the face twice?
Mm-hmm. Start with that. And then go for a walk outside, because that usually helps most human beings with things. Get some sunlight if you can. And then ask yourself why you started software engineering in the first place. And of all the things you can do, why that was your chosen industry and field. And remember, the version of yourself that was just the most drawn to software engineering. What was it that just started getting gears turning? What was that? Think about that for a little while, and then talk to people about it. Talk to people about why that was important, real human beings, and also put it in practice as well. So whatever it was that got you really excited, do that thing again.
And I noticed that when someone's going through a rough time, one common strategy is to kind of be with them as they go through that rough time and kind of let them be. And then another strategy is to just kind of encourage their wallowing.
Yeah.
And another strategy is to kick them in the ass. And I think you kick people in the ass, and I think you do it after you've done the right amount of letting them be. Does this resonate with you at all?
The piece of advice that I'll never forget was meet them where they're at. There are times that you can't be firecracking everywhere and just telling somebody what to do, but sometimes you need to have them, because maybe they don't have somebody that is opening an ear and having them just talk and speak, and they're just taking in so much information, and they just need to share and tell you where they are so you can meet them there. And once I did do that, I did unlock a new revelation of okay, some of the people I'm going to work with, they're in very different circumstances. So let me understand more of where they are. And it's a different trajectory, and they're going to have to take different steps, but it's possible. But overall, the underlying piece of advice is meet them where they're at. And I, when I was so like early on in my career, I genuinely, and this hasn't gone away, I do want people to find jobs, but I was just so like, I want this for you. Don't you want this? Isn't that why we're here? It's like, that's why the motivation piece is so important. It's like, how can I get you there? And whether it's like getting a huge offer or just like, hey, did you send out that application today? Did you, send that in? Just like send it. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. Just like send me that little send receipt. And then we just like heart the message or high five it. It can be something small like that too.
You get people to raise their energy level and you get people to take action quickly. Why do you think that you're good at getting people to like take action and raise their energy level?
Two things, Oprah and my own personal experience, because Oprah had this crazy, amazing commencement speech where she was like, you just keep showing up every day. You actually might not feel the motivation every day, but you just keep showing up and then you'll find it. And then there's also studies of more, smarter people than I am who say you have to do the action and then you feel the motivation actually. And then it's this positive loop. And then for my own personal experience, I do that too. Like there are days that I don't want to get out of bed. And so I just roll over onto the floor and I'm like, well, I don't want to be here either. So I'll get up, Okay, wait, side note. Have you been around on Chestnut? And then they have those huge billboards with the babies on them for Apple.
Yes.
What's your take on that? That photo almost felt like kind of weird.
It's like Alien or something.
Okay. Thank you for saying it. Thank you for saying it. Yeah. I didn't want to say it, but thank you. Yeah. I was like, I just traveled. And so I got back from Vegas. And so I touched down in San Francisco. I'm like, it's so nice. I love San Francisco. And then we fly in and I see that on the billboard. I'm like, oh, kind of weird. I was like, I took a second glance. I was like, I don't know if this is a good look for San Francisco.
Christina, you are a wonderful recruiter and career coach. Let's kind of zone in on the recruiting part and thinking about just working with engineers as a recruiter. And I want to start with a fact that I found, which is that around 30% is the average pass rate for a recruiter screen. Does it sound accurate? If so, why do you say that?
I think I was a recruiter that probably passed more candidates on than I should have because I believe in giving people chances and second chances. So, 30% sounds about right. And I think that what an organization can do at a grander scale is say that they want it to be 30%. And so in your mind, you're asking yourself, is this the top 30% candidate? And you really have to think about those things as a recruiter.
What's the most common position that you used to recruit for?
Oh, software engineers.
Cool.
And then at my last role, we had been really coveting for full front end engineers that were senior.
How did you know if someone was a good front end senior engineer?
From a recruiter screen, scope of projects that they held previously, the validity of their previous company, and if that company had product market fit, traction, if they were in the early stages of a startup, that said a lot.
Because you were at a startup, so that was desirable.
In the early stages, not just a startup, because it's very different to, let's say, work at Dropbox when they were starting in let's say years 0 to 3. But you have to also kind of trace the trajectory of Series A, Series B, Series C, and their growth. Because if they've seen hypergrowth on a map and you saw that it was there during certain years, that was really interesting.
Okay.
And they tended to do better as well in technicals.
What's a red flag that they could do on a call with you that makes you say
not know the company, not know who you're interviewing for. Right. That's an easy one. You've probably heard that. You've probably seen that, right? They don't know who they are. They don't know what they are or what the interview is. And they don't know why they're there. And I'm like, well, I could tell you, but that's a concern.
You don't know why you're here. I don't know why I'm here either. You know what? We probably shouldn't be talking anymore.
Yeah. When they're so unsure of themselves, then I start to get unsure about them as a candidate.
Right. What's a clue that someone has no idea what your company is or does?
They'll say it playfully. Oh, I have a lot of interviews going on, by the way. What was this one for?
Oh, that's a bad one. You can at least not throw it out there like that.
Yeah. So transparent. I'm like, go through your emails, go look at the title name really quick, even if you can. But it just kind of left a really unideal. I was like, they just ask you so many questions. It's like a lot of these things you could have Googled. Like it's okay to just admit that you don't know everything under the sun about the company. That's not my expectation, but just do a little bit of research to know clear main tips or anything that actually stood out to you personally. It's like, have you used the product?
You've also coached a lot of software engineers to specifically get jobs at Google. One common interview question is like, why Google? You know, like I would say that there's levels to the way that you can answer that. Probably like the lowest level is just kind of like complimenting the company and just say that they're like a fan of what they do, or Google is their dream company. You know,
how many times have we heard that in our careers?
Such a red flag to hear things that are cliches.
It's a little bit of a broken, like it's like, and
anything that's a cliche, as a recruiter, if you hear something cliche, don't you associate them with all the other bad candidates that got rejected?
I think it's like what you said earlier. It's immemorable. When you're talking to 30, 40 candidates a week, let's say, as you said, if I have a quote, or if I know I'm going to move 20% of the top candidates, they may not make the cut.
What do you think about the STAR format as a way to answer behavioral questions in 2024? Is it outdated, or should people use it that are engineers?
What I do is I provide different frameworks that you can try on for STAR. STAR, people talk about that at least as like a starting point. And then there's SAIL framework, which is situation, action, impact, and learning. So that's like a newer one that's people starting to talk about.
Yeah.
There's think in threes. So if you're going to propose an answer, get like 3 main points, expand upon it, and then do a conclusive statement where you conclude all 3 points, because then people remember in threes. And then there's past, present, future as a framework as well. So those are the different ones. And I think that really helps people just get their gears going, because then it's like something that they can remember. And then they'll adjust their storytelling depending on what that sounds like.
Wow. Okay. You just blew my mind. I did not know these other frameworks. The 1 in 3s, for the people at home that have never seen this in practice, what would be an example? Even if it's like you talking about like baking cookies or something.
You think in threes, it's like get 3 main points that somebody can remember. So for cookies, there's the ingredients, there's the preparation,
the baking,
and then there's the baking. 3 simple things. And then you can add more color under each umbrella, but then at the end, you just say that's what it is. To bake a cookie, all you need are the ingredients, to prepare them, and to put them in the oven.
I have this issue with all these frameworks. I think that none of them are engineering focused, you know? It's like engineers should be talking about the greatest challenge that they face on a project, on any project that they do. Talk about problems they were trying to solve, solutions that they use.
Yeah, complexity.
Absolutely.
Scale. Complexity, scale is very important as well.
Yeah. So here's a white lie that recruiters tell. Tell me this is not a white lie. I'm an engineer. I get a job offer at the last week of the year. Okay? And it has an exploding deadline. I'm a mid-level senior engineer. This shouldn't be happening to me. But it ain't because the business needs me to decide by the end of the year. It's because of quotas. Right?
Interesting.
An exploding deadline for me to sign within that week. That's a bit of
maybe there are practice like that. I think that's not practice.
I think there are.
Right?
Yeah.
There's probably like agencies or whatnot. You
ever gotten lukewarm on a candidate at the offer stage for something that they did or said?
I've never revoked a candidate offer. Okay,
let's say a CEO says that he wants to hire 80 engineers over the next X amount of time. Whose responsibility is it that those engineers get hired?
Interesting. I actually had this debate with another recruiter, and I think it's like recruiters should be responsible up until the point by which we give an offer. So like once we've extended the offer, then it's passed on to like hiring team to help close the candidate. I've worked with incredible hiring managers who I've seen move mountains, and I send a message. I'm like, here's what we're closing. Here's like what we're working with. It's also like the bluff. I think what you just referred to, going back to our last question, is bluff, like bottom line up front, is like how it sounds like you would approach an interview answer. So then there's like similar engineer leaders who I've met with who like go above and beyond. They'll like text the candidate, they will show them, they will essentially embed them in the interview process. Like, well, one is like after they've got the offer and we've decided we want to hire them, then the closing process, right? Like that's when they can really come and shine, because if you're not selling them on the opportunity and the experience that they're going to have once they're hired, who's like, I don't know as a recruiter what your job is going to be like, your day to day. So I do think that responsibility can fall on the hiring manager. So I've worked with that kind of hiring manager, and I've worked with the other hiring manager that's like, we presented the best offer, we did our best, and now it's up to the candidate, let them be and let it happen, right? Because if they don't genuinely want to do the opportunity, I've convinced them at every step of the point where like in the interview process, we've had chats and conversations, like how much more convincing do they need? And if I need to convince them time and time again to take the offer, maybe this is not the right fit. Maybe this isn't the opportunity that they actually truly want. And so they let that be part of the candidate's decision.
Any other things about like recruiting that you wanted to get off your chest? Anything?
Oh, I know what I want to say. If people put their open to work badge on LinkedIn, it needs to, I'm going to argue that it's not that big of a deal. I've had colleagues who were incredible, absolutely incredible, and they put the open to work badge on and they got a job. So people need to stop telling people to not put it on.
I think it makes you look desperate.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll argue with that. What's wrong with being desperate? What's wrong with saying like, I want a job and I want to be here?
What's wrong with being desperate is you look less skilled.
That's just not true. I feel like I've worked with incredible colleagues that were very skilled and they did their job and they did it really well. And something outside of their control had them in a situation where they weren't in a position. So they were loud and they were honest that they needed a role and they got one.
Look, open to work is not something that people should do because it activates the unconscious bias of most recruiters, not you, who think, oh, this person's not, they're not good. Good candidates aren't actively looking. They're like kind of available, but not
passive.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that argument.
All right. This first game is called The Lord of Hiring. It's a fill in the blank game. Dear Lord, the tech industry begs for you to improve it. We heard that you decided to improve the tech industry by blank.
Just build more villages. I think that's fun. Build more villages, build more communities, build more companies. Because when there are more, did you see the number of companies from YC decreased drastically?
No.
Like if you look at the numbers of like where companies are investing in, it decreased a lot. So like build more villages.
Lord of Hiring. We heard blank has been banished from engineering hiring.
Coding challenges.
Asynchronous ones where you send them in?
Yeah. The async, yeah, the online assessments.
Nice. How come? I love it, but I'm just wondering.
I feel like now it's like, it's kind of related to what you said before. It's like if you saw a candidate and they weren't like good enough, like to, as you said, warrant your time, you kind of just toss this at them to like give them a bone.
Interviewers, from now on, you will blank.
Give the interviewee your full undivided attention, because I've been on calls with some candidates that said, oh, you know, my interviewer was, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't think that they were fully there. And I was like, why did you say that? And he said, oh, I hope you don't mind. I'm taking my lunch right now during this interview, but I'm totally here. I'm just going to be like off camera. I'm listening though. And he was like muting and unmuting. And I was like, poor kid. How can anybody give a full interview like that?
Yeah, dude, I'm totally listening as I chow down on this French dip. Yeah, dude, I'm totally listening as I'm
the
just
multitasking. Yeah, that's tough.
What's the worst? What's the most distracting food you could eat in an interview? Probably potato chips, like the back of the class, chips. Loud, crunkly. You know.
I had potato chips yesterday, and they were really good. And my boyfriend, aka now my office colleague, was definitely mocking me. He was like you're just crunching up. I was like, they're good. I love spicy ruffles.
I want to talk to you about something really important. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can hear you. Go on, tell me.
It's like, yeah.
Cheetos, dude. Cheetos would be so distracting, like wiping them on your shirt and
Hot
getting all the
Cheetos.
orange
Oh,
all
what if
over.
you eat them with chopsticks though? You could eat some like hot, and then you're just like,
Now that'd make
yeah.
you smarter.
No, that would be cool.
Okay, last one for this game is candidates. From now on, you will blank.
Get every job that you've ever possibly dreamed of. Have you seen the site 18 offers, 18offers.com? This one engineer got 18 offers from the top companies, and he has a step-by-step guide, Kevin. It's possible. People can do it.
Gangsta, dude. That is tight. This is the hiring deck of Hootenanny, and it's a card game. So you pick a card.
Dude, you need to get a serious microphone stand because it changes everything.
Dude, this is where I live. I live right here. This is season 1, baby.
Get the stand. Okay, fine. Yeah, fair. We want to go to the come up. Yeah, we'll look back one day and be like, haha. Yeah. Like rewatching this and be like, what noobs?
Remember when we were like,
what were they thinking? Please hit the subscribe button so that we can afford a mic stand. Thanks so much. Bye.
Please hit the subscribe button so I can pay for a chiropractor because I hurt right now a lot. What's the zaniest thing you've heard of a candidate saying or doing in an interview?
Actually, I had a really odd conversation recently of a candidate, and they were very highly educated, very, very highly educated, PhD. Mm-hmm. But they just would send emails that were very long, like this long. Mm-hmm. It's like, I think the folks that are in education and they're like it's like they've been in academia for a very long time. So industry is a very different world for them. And understandably so, their journey is getting into industry. And so it's a very different journey because you can't it's like tossing somebody like your thesis, like this huge book all the time. I think a lot of things can be simplified into less words.
Dude, I'm not going to say another word for the rest of the show.
Don't do that.
I got this Eric Andre energy today from you that I don't know where it came from.
Who's Eric Andre?
Oh, he's funny. He's a funny guy. Okay. What is the fastest tank you've ever seen in an interview? Instant rejection.
Like, for what it's worth, this candidate did get an offer from another company. But once it got to the system design interview, there was a interviewer that wanted to guide them in a different direction or have them consider a different approach. Mm-hmm. And they quickly brushed them off. And that interviewer felt that it was really, really rude and really abrasive. So it was very specific of like, you're whiteboarding together and you're doing a system design interview and you're almost like shooing off your interviewer. Please don't do that. Yeah. Their job is to help you. So they know the answers. Yeah. They're trying to guide you. Yeah. They're trying to help you. Yeah. What's the craziest story you've heard about onboarding? Well, for PwC, they sent us to Disneyland. That's crazy and awesome. Oh my God. It was lovely. Yeah, it was so fun. It was really fun. I'm sorry. Like when you get your return offer, you go to Disneyland Orlando, like Walt Disney World, and it's so fun. You can run like marathons and the whole, like they rent out entire places for us, and it was a treat. It was weird. I felt very lucky. That was the moment I was like, whoa, that's my parents are like, my mom's a manicurist, my dad's a postman, and this is like a big deal, you know? Yeah. What's the wackiest interview feedback or rejection reason you can remember hearing? Somebody just was like, this person is not, they were too soft, and I don't want this person on my team. Too soft? It was really just vague. Yeah. They're too like, just didn't have a backbone. Damn. Too nice. They were too nice. Somebody probably gave me that feedback before. Are you giving me that feedback right now? No. Oh my God. Yeah. This was super triggering for me. No. But it was all lowercase. It was like, they just like, I don't want this person. Like, I don't want this energy on my team. I was like. Did you get to talk to that candidate? Yeah, I thought they were nice. I didn't know anything about their technicals. That's the problem. Was that the problem? Yeah. What's the silliest idea you've heard during the making of a job description? So it's interesting because what I think sometimes some hiring managers do that they're not aware of is they want the unicorn candidate so much that they they really are asking for requirements that aren't rooted in any fact. So let's say like I want a candidate that's from an early stage company, but they have 8 years of experience. That company was only around for 2 years, bro. And so like, I don't know, maybe they don't know their data, but I would go on LinkedIn Recruiter and show them all the filters that I've set. And it was like 2 results have applied, like have, come up. And then they have to physically see that, because some is like really truly not rooted in any fact. It's like they want the early stage person, but they also want them to maybe potentially be a similar age or like have a similar number of years of industry experience. And that doesn't make sense.
This is question number 1. I call it a rapid fire round. Don't cry now.
Oh, like Family Feud.
Don't cry for me now, Argentina. What's something you believe about hiring/recruiting, but don't have the data to prove?
That people want to hire themselves.
Next question. What in hiring doesn't matter as much as it seems?
Your resume.
What's an unconventional opinion you feel strongly about? AKA, Christina Ly, what hill would you die on?
Let the people who have open to work badges get jobs.
Well, it's time for the
I'll fight you on, Kevin. On this.
You're gonna what?
I'm gonna fight you on that one. It's almost equivalent to saying like, if you had a dating app, oh, that's so desperate of you. Like, yeah, you want the thing.
If you have all of your fields filled out on your dating app, it's desperate.
Oh my gosh. Disagree. Highly disagree. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you want.
All right, Christina Ly, you have been my favorite guest, but don't tell any of our other guests. And this is the part of the show. I'm
telling everybody.
The show where we close it out.
Dear LinkedIn family, Kevin Landucci said, I've been the favorite guest.
And this is the part of the show where we close it out. And the way we close it out is with the guest closing it out. So you don't have to thank me. Please don't thank me. Don't mention the show.
Thanks, Kevin.
Don't mention the name.
Accusation audit.
But all you do is just like leave us with like your one last blurb, and then we say goodbye.
What kind of blurb is it about me, or?
It's up to you. It's like, it's your show now, dude. You know?
I have to say thank you, Kevin, for the time today. And I'm excited to hear more of your podcast, or whatever you want to call this. And thanks for being a great host, asking good questions, and being, just listening, asking good questions, and creating this opportunity, like this experience. It's been cool. First podcast.